Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have.
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadlines. And deadlines. Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Welcome to episode 208 of the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. My name's Austin, and joining me in the pod board, Charles Hedlund. How you doing, buddy?
What up, dude?
What? I like that.
See that? A little,
Yeah, you threw up a little sign on
little
that.
W.
Little what up.
the what up?
Yeah,
Little
dude.
whitetail distraction W.
I like it.
Throwing W's up. What's new, man? What's going
Nothing,
on?
man. Just hanging out. It's hot out.
It's not too bad though.
It's been nice a
it's
couple
actually been
mornings.
pretty nice in the
Oh,
mornings.
my.
I've been wearing a 3/4 sleeve tees.
Interesting.
I love them
Really?
until it gets too warm and then they got to come off. But
Yeah.
we've had better weather than we probably deserve.
Yeah,
honestly.
I would agree.
It's starting to feel like it's that time of year, but before it's that time of year, it's really starting to feel like time to start buying some shit because
my.
Season's coming, my friend.
Dude, it is. Prep work. I mean, I need to get a new broadhead target.
You need to get some seed in the ground.
Oh,
you need to go
my
to Back
goodness.
40 Seed Company, start thinking about fall plots. Use code Distraction10 for 10% off of those fall plots. And I think they're running free shipping right now.
They are on a lot of stuff.
So it's that time of year, dude. If you're really serious about it, and we get into a little bit on this episode about management and managing deer, Back 40 Seed's the place you want to be.
I would totally agree.
And you mentioned that broadhead target. I just bought a brand new broadhead target because I needed one.
I'll come over and use yours.
Absolutely, you can. I was down at Cabela's and I had a gift card from a good friend for my birthday, and I said, you know what? I need one of those. So
Yeah.
$50, there it was. Broadhead target purchased.
Sick. What kind of broadhead you shooting into that
You know
bad
what
boy?
I'm shooting into that bad boy. I'm shooting my Omegas with the bleeders, 125 grain VPA, and those things are going to be on some brand spanking new to me arrows. So I got a whole new arrow set up. I just weighed it, did the math. It's going to be at like 517 grains.
Beautiful, buddy.
It's going to be a heavy sumbitch
Oh,
compared to
my
what I'm at
goodness,
now. But
yeah.
I shot them the other day. Boy, do they shoot nice.
Ooh, I'm excited.
They might become my everyday arrow,
Oh my gosh.
which is, they're just shooting great. I mean, granted, I do like my setup that I have now for, my VIP broadheads and
hey.
the veterans. I can't. It's a really hard combo to beat with that arrow setup in those broadheads. The combat vets and the commanders.
Yeah.
Two of
dude.
my absolute favorite broadheads of all
Both
time.
just
But
absolute beast.
I sent it to the group today. There was a study video done on the VPAs going back to the Omega with the bleeders. The exact same broadheads we just bought. A guy did a review on them, and dude, they held up phenomenally well. He made mention to it multiple times. It may be the most durable broadhead that he's ever tested.
Unreal.
He does a sharpness test first, and how many grains of power. I don't know how he does it measurement wise, but like how much
Is he cutting
pressure
wire with
to
it?
cut wire
Yeah,
before
right.
it cuts. And he's like, the threshold's 200. I think it came in the 140s, but then he shoots it and he tests how much penetration through gel, and it did extremely well. I think it was like 8.5 inch penetration, which next to the iron will was a whole 1/2 inch more.
Oh my.
And actually held up way better than iron will. So then he does it again, and it only changed like 3 grains of pressure after shooting it through there, which was like one of the most impressive of some of the tests that I watched.
Wow.
A lot of them were like in that 15 to 20 range difference. So like, you know what I mean? He tests it brand new, shoots it, tests it again, and sees what the difference
Nice.
is. So it holds its edge really well as well.
Yeah.
So-
You know what else holds its edge?
I don't.
Distraction.
What?
No, it's WDP. No, it's Distraction 10. No, it's
No, it's not.
WDP.
It's WDP.
I'm getting all of our codes all messed
I'm
up.
like, what are you saying?
I'm having a stroke.
No, you want to use code WDP if you're going to buy VPA broadheads.
Yeah. Distraction 10 on the back 40.
On the back 40. There's another code that is now WDP, brand new, fresh, out of the oven.
Oh my goodness.
And that's what we're getting into this episode, and that is SKRE gear, my friends. SKRE gear,
Oh, baby.
brand new code for you guys. WDP will get you 15% off of any purchase that you make. So there you go. We're not going to get into it because it's a whole episode of SKRE.
Yep.
But that is the business.
It
Short
is,
form,
buddy.
my friend.
And this is a good episode too, so let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's not waste any time.
Locke Wheeler, the SKRE dealer.
All right, we're back with return guest, starting catcher. I almost said shortstop, Locke.
I
Locke
played
Wheeler.
shortstop a time or two.
Well, there you go.
I played it a time or two, when, and in a necessary situation.
There you go.
Played third a little bit too.
What was your number?
4.
Number 4. Number 4.
Number
and
1 in your heart.
Yeah. How am I butchering this so bad?
I know.
Number 4 in the books, number 1 in your heart. I'm trying to think of those stupid
Yep.
things.
That's hilarious.
Totally butchered it. Oh, man. So what is new, brother? What's going on?
Well, currently what's going on is I don't know how it is where you're at in Pennsylvania, but down here in the South, we're all just like cooking
Yeah.
like a Thanksgiving turkey. It is so hot, man. It is. I think we are currently, like, as we record this is like the hottest week of the year so far. And so, like, on the one hand, you're looking at the calendar and it's like we're right there, like it's coming. The season's right around the corner. Football's going to kick off in about 6 weeks, and then food plot and tree stand preparations ongoing and getting fired up. And it's like you can see it on the calendar, but when you step outside, you're like, oh God, it's so hot. So it's I don't know. It's an interesting time of the year for me. I'm from a business perspective, like with SKRE, this is a very busy time of the year. Like one thing that might be kind of interesting for people that are listening is like in this industry, we're actually not that busy during hunting season, which is, being a hunting company or a hunting apparel company, like it seems synonymous, but honestly, it's the off season where we're trying to get gear manufactured, get gear sold, put on, into inventory and then out to stores and buyers and all that. And so it's actually pretty busy right now. We've got new stuff coming in. We got new products adding to the catalog this summer. And we're just trying to kind of get ourselves ready for the direct to consumer stuff that, will really ramp up in August. People will really start buying in August, getting ready for the fall season. And then, one thing that we might talk about some on this is, our kind of growth into the retail world. And this is the time of the year where pretty much all your retail stores that didn't program out their inventory orders back at the first part of the year with the ATA and the SHOT Show and the buy group shows, all those shops that are looking to bring in another brand for the fall, we're really busy kind of getting all of that done and getting inventory on the shelves and stuff like that. So that's what's going on, getting ready for, as we record this anyway, getting ready for really big product launches with some new stuff that's coming in this summer. So it's keeping us busy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's nothing like a good consumer procrastinator. I know that from the best. So,
Well, I mean,
it happens.
If you guys could all just do a better job of just being on time and getting ahead of the game a little bit, it would make my life easier.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
If you're looking to buy it, let's just go ahead and get it done.
Right.
Locke's got to prep stands and stuff, guys. Come on.
Yeah, seriously. Give the guy
Yeah,
a
I mean,
month.
you're cutting into my preseason, my early season when you procrastinate.
How does that lay out this year for you? You got anything big planned? Some hunts?
The one big thing that I have planned is I drew a Area 6 tag in Kansas.
Ooh.
Or Unit 6, what I don't think call it units or areas, but that is kind of central Kansas, but I mean a little to the west of central, and I've not hunted that. I've hunted Kansas a lot, and if you followed along with some of the SKRE media and stuff, you've seen some of my Kansas hunts on our YouTube and stuff, but I've never hunted that part of Kansas. So this will be a new adventure. I'm going to go the second week of November for what hopefully is prime time rut type activity, and pray for good weather and all. But that's the only, as of today, that's the only big trip I have planned. We obviously have properties at home and stuff that I'll manage and hunt a lot, and I'll end up on some other stuff. But last year was a really busy year for me. Last year I started out in September with an elk hunt, and then October I went to New Mexico for a pronghorn hunt, and then at the end of October, first week of November, I was in Newfoundland for a caribou hunt, and then came home for a week and went straight to Missouri for a November whitetail rut hunt. So I was really busy last fall, and I just hadn't filled the calendar up quite like that. But I think I got a lot of those. I did a lot in 1 year last year, with elk, caribou, and pronghorn. Obviously, I do whitetail every year, but this year I'm going to focus a little bit more on doing more whitetail. Last year, I felt like by the time I was done with those 3 big hunts that went from mid-September through the first week of November, it's 3 big hunts all in a month, really kind of a month and a half span. And when I got done with that, man, I don't want to say burnt out, but I was tired.
Yeah.
I didn't have quite the drive because, we did all of those hunts, were successful, which is not normal, right? Like, I mean, it is hunting. Even if you're in a good place, everything's still got to come together. And, we did, I think the numbers, if I remember this right, we did like 38 or 39 miles on the elk hunt. We did 50 miles on the caribou hunt, and like 20 something miles on the pronghorn hunt, all on foot, And so by the first week of November, I was down about 15 pounds and wore out.
I was going to say, no wonder you're tired, man.
And that's the thing too. Like,
those dogs were barking.
Getting on those hunts like that, you're go from the rip, and you were going one after the next. I can only imagine how whooped you were at the end of it.
Yeah.
And look, and I'm gonna sit here and like lie to people and act like I was. I mean, I did a little bit of prep, but like I wasn't like in the gym every day. Like I wasn't doing everything that I probably should have been doing. Considering just an old Southern guy that is used to, my biggest output typically is if I walk a little bit longer and hunt mobile, and that's like nothing compared to those hunts.
Right.
At least in terms of time span, and so I prepared a little bit, but yeah, it was amazing to not just do all that in 1 year, but to be successful on all of them and to experience it all. I mean, it's just, there's some amazing parts of the country and the world, really, I guess, to see that, it's hard, and there are times, especially in some of those hunts. The pronghorn hunt really wasn't so bad. The other 2, however, were pretty remote backcountry type deals. And it's hard, but there's a sense of accomplishment, and there's a sense of like, you become very aware in the moment that you're experiencing something that, not a lot of people get to experience, or at least they don't get to experience it very often.
Sure.
It takes a lot. So that's special, kind of the same feeling you get when that turkey finally just does it right, and just shows up after all the times he kicked your butt, or, that deer finally he does it just right, and everything comes together. There's a lot of those moments on those hunts where you're like, man, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I feel like I'm in over my head a little bit, but then there's those moments when you sit down and look out and you're like, wow, this is pretty special.
That's that type 2 fun.
Absolutely.
Since you were successful in all 3, is there a clear-cut number 1 favorite hunt from those 3 that you had?
Clear cut is the non that's the kind of the primary word or phrase there. Clear cut. I will say that I'm gonna say the most unique experience, like holistic experience, was the caribou hunt.
Yeah.
Because on the caribou hunt, we flew to St. John's in Newfoundland Island, and from St. John's we drove up to a kind of a little bay, and we got on a float plane, and we did the float plane thing, probably about a 30-minute float plane ride. We landed in this remote lake out in the middle of like the tundra, or the bog as they call it, and we stayed in this little trapper's cabin up on the bank of the lake for the week, and we would leave the cabin and hike up to these lookouts and then stalk, off the lookouts. We find, the herds of caribou. That was just a landscape and a style of hunting I've never done. I've never sat on top of a rock and watched animals and glassed them and planned out a stalk like that, literally from 2 and 3 miles away at times and stuff and I've never been in that kind of country. And so that was unique, but the elk hunt was probably rewarding in that I did the same hunt 3 years ago this fall, and I was not successful. And it's a very hard hunt. It's the Uinta Mountains, the high Uinta Wilderness in northeast Utah. And it's basically it is the only mountain range in North America that runs east to west. And runs when Utah makes that little L-shaped curve in the or corner in the northwest, and it borders, I think it's Wyoming, or I think there's a mountain range that runs along that. And we were in that, and that's a protected wilderness area that was designated. I don't think I'm wrong, but I might be a little wrong on the facts, but I think Roosevelt during his presidency declared that area as a protected wilderness, and I don't know what it is, but it's huge. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of acres, I would imagine. I don't know. It's tremendous. It's the size of a half of some small states, but that area, you're not allowed to use a combustion engine of any kind. So, like even the Forestry Service has to go in on horseback with handsaws to clear the trails.
Oh, I think that's called Forever Wild when they designated that.
Yeah. So whatever that is, it is a legislative designation.
Yeah.
And so like a medevac helicopter is the only thing, and that's for urgent emergencies if they have to medevac somebody out of there. That is the only time that a gas or diesel powered engine is ever even allowed on that land. So you're the first year I did it, we went 14 miles back on horses. This last time we went closer to 10 miles. We were in a different drainage, but kind of in the same general area of the range. And you're on horseback and mule team, and you go in on the horses and set up camp in a meadow high up in the mountains, and then you hunt from there. And like I said, I mean, there's no roads, there's nothing but horse trails from people that have accessed that for hiking, and there's a lot of fishing up in the mountains, the streams and lakes and stuff, and then obviously hunting. And it's public land, so it's if you get a tag or whatever, anybody can hunt it. But if you don't hire a cowboy or an outfitter with the equipment and the animals to get you back in there, it's almost impossible to hunt it. So
right.
It's public, but it's pretty exclusive public. Well, I did it 2 years ago, and we had a tough hunt. Like I came close. We had the one opportunity that I came close on. The cow, there was a cow with the bull, and she actually busted us before I could get a shot and took him with her. And then so on this hunt, we had much better luck overall. Like we were in bugling elk every hunt, and on the third or fourth day, I was able to shoot one at it's about 45 yards, and he ran about 200.
Nice.
And piled up. So it was a really good bull. I mean, for a public land bull especially, I've never had him scored, but according to the people I was with that know a whole lot more about it, they said it was a 280 to 290 of classification bull, which from my understanding, I'm not a elk hunter, obviously experienced elk hunter, but that's a pretty good bull for public land. And for that area
like a bull, right? I mean, that's what I go off of. It looks like an elk, I'm in.
I was pretty much like, I was like, I'm looking at the situation going into it both years, really. Like, who am I? Who am I at this point to be very picky? I've never even, I've never seen an elk in the wild.
Yeah.
Like I've just never done that kind of hunting. So I'm kind of like, I have some level of standard to me where it's like, I'm up here for a week. I mean, I want to kill one that's got a full rack, but I don't know the difference between, 250. Like I'll give you a perfect kind of example story of it. Like the day before I killed my bull, I screwed up on a bull that was really big, like super trophy status for like 320 to 350 kind of status.
Oh man.
And, and I know that, like in my mind, I know it. And I can see it, but honestly, like the experience on my bull when he came up through there bugling and doing his thing, I'm like both were awesome. They look both very big animals, and very exciting to hunt that way. So yeah, I mean, my standards weren't really, really, really high, but I didn't want to shoot a spike elk or something
Right.
like that. But I mean, I think I ended up doing pretty good, and but more so than that, like it was 4 of us in camp, and we were hunting in pairs, and like we were in elk morning and evening every single hunt while we were there. And I think me and my buddy that I was hunting with, I think we called up 8 different bulls in bow range
Oh man.
that week. And it's just hard. It's hard hunting because an elk. It's if you ever hear people talk about elk hunting being a lot like turkey, but they can smell.
Right.
I never really knew how accurate that description was until I did it.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot like turkey hunting in the spring with a goblin tom, but if he could smell. And then you're in the mountains where it's, constant elevation change. So as you can imagine, the wind never blows in one direction.
Right.
It is constantly swirling. And then as the sun rises and as the sun sets, the thermals change and everything is up and down. I mean, with the exception of a flat meadow, everything has some elevation change to it. And so, like, I'm sure you guys can imagine, like anything else, especially on public land and pressured hunting land, the elk don't just stand out in an open meadow.
I
Right?
can imagine.
I mean, they don't, not to say they don't cross them and not to say you don't see them out there late in the evenings, early in the mornings and stuff like that. You do, but it's not like you just go from meadow to meadow and you just find these big herds of elk standing out there. I mean, they're like ghosts, as big as they are, they're like ghosts, and they're always, on the side of a ridge, on a shelf, up in the dark timber, and that makes it difficult. But I mean, all of that stuff, and then just kind of the satisfaction of not being successful the first time and going back on the same hunt, a hunt that I honestly said I probably would never do again because it was so hard, to go back and then be successful, and for it to be a really good bull, and for it to be, I'm sure you guys will probably kind of understand what I'm trying to say here is like everything went right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I shot a bull and it took us all day to find him and I was anxious and worried. I wasn't like, I shot him. I made a good shot. He went 200 yards and piled up in an open meadow really close to one of the horse trails. Like everything it wasn't easy, but we were able to kind of get it all done without too many hiccups, and that makes it more enjoriable. Right?
Absolutely,
You don't have all the
absolutely.
stress and anxiety of all the crap that can go wrong.
Mhm.
Like on our first one, I mean, it was bad, dude. Like we had a horse die. We had
Oh man.
we had an accident on the trail where horses fall, and it rained the whole time. And this time the weather was great. It didn't rain while we were there. The horses didn't act a fool. All that kind of stuff. And then the elk, did what they were supposed to do, and we were able to recover my bull and get him taken care of without any incident. All that kind of stuff just made it like really, it's like it was very satisfying to go from a really difficult hunt and then to do it again and do it right and get it done in that way, and kind of check it off the list because I don't know if I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
Not that way.
Right.
I'd like to elk hunt again, but I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm going to go do that way. That's a hard hunt.
Yeah. Locke, coming from being like a whitetail guy, how intimidating was it walking up on an animal that big?
Dude, first of all, they're so much bigger in person than you realize. And like the one I was telling you, the really big one that I messed up on, the way I messed up was I set my bow down I was standing beside a tree, and I didn't know the bull was coming because we'd been working him for literally like 4 hours, and he'd been staying at 100, just like a turkey, staying like at 100 yards bugling, and just moving away from us constantly. We finally got in the right spot, and I didn't know he was coming, and I had just kind of relaxed and set my bow down on my toe, and I had my hand on the top cam, and I'm just standing there, and I look, and here he comes. And like I said, they're like ghosts. It's amazing how big they are, but how stealthy and quiet they are.
Mhm.
And I look, and he's like in a full trot, coming at like 50 yards, and he's coming, and he ain't made a sound. I just looked and saw him, and I'm like, oh my God. And I reached down. He was coming to an opening in front of me, and I knew the path that he was on, I knew he was gonna come to that opening. And so I was trying to pick my bow up and get drawn back so that when he stepped out in that opening, I'm already drawn back, and all I got to do is just check where he's at yardage wise, and I wouldn't have to draw and make any movement while he was in the open. Well, as I picked up my bow, I shoot a thumb release, and as I picked up my bow, I bumped it, and it came off of the string. And so while I should have been drawing back, I was trying to get my release back on my loop, and I did it. And as soon as I picked my bow up, kind of up in front of my face and was getting to draw, he stepped out, and he was 15 yards from me, broadside in the wide open. And when you talk about like how big are they, like I can honestly say if I had been drawn back, I don't know how I wouldn't have made the shot, because it would have been like shooting the side of my truck at 15 yards. Like
your whole sight would have been in the kill zone.
Yeah, I mean, he was that big. And I'm like, so obviously I stood there. We played this like staring game, and I hadn't really moved, but so he didn't see me, but he came to that open to stop and look. And I waited till he didn't really look completely away, but he looked a little bit away, and I tried to get drawn back, and he saw just enough movement that he left. But then, the funny thing about you asked that question. The funny thing about it is that if I had the video to share, I would. But I shot this elk, and I actually missed him on the first shot. True story. For people that have done it or have seen it, hunting in pairs, your partner, we're just kind of flip flopping. Who's shooting and who's calling and videoing and stuff like that. And it was my turn, and we walked up on this ridge. We hiked over to the eastern part of the basin that hadn't been hunted much the first couple of days. And we started at daylight and hiked all the way over there, and we were like 3.5 miles from, and we got over to that area, and we got up on this ridge, and we were really just kind of resting. Like, we got to this ridge, and we were just going to sit down and just kind of rest a minute. It was a beautiful morning, and we're like, we're just going to sit here for a minute and kind of take our packs off and kind of, just organize our stuff and take a little break. And I just blew a cow call just kind of randomly, because it was hanging around my neck, and I just took my pack off, and I just blew a cow call, and this elk bugles, and he's probably 200 or 300 yards from us, and the wind's in our face. Everything is right. And I'm like, we're in a beautiful spot too. We don't even really have to do much at this point. Is like we're in a really good spot on this ridge, and he's down below us in a little meadow, and or in that area. And so we move up a little piece to the right spot, and my hunt partner, he backs up about 50 yards, and he's got his camera set up, and he's calling, and I'm up in front of him probably 30 or 40 yards, and he kind of goes out of sight of me, where he can kind of get a little further away to call. And what he doesn't realize is he didn't even need to do that, because the elk was coming. Like, it was just, we found the right one at the right time. Like, he was coming. We got set up, and he called, and he bugled, and he sounded like he was in the same spot, so he backed up. But before he even really got back to where he was going and started calling, I saw the elk coming up the ridge. And I didn't know he wasn't looking. I could hear him. It sounded like he had moved back, but I didn't know he wasn't watching. So I had ranged all these trees out in front of me, and it was open timber on this ridge top we were on. And I had ranged all these trees, and as this elk comes up, and God, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it couldn't have been, especially for somebody who's never done it before, wanting to get the full experience. Like, he comes up this ridge, and that's what I first see is just horns coming up, like waddling, and he bugles, and then he pops where I can see his head and everything. And he comes up that ridge with the sun to his back, and like just snot coming out of his nose, just freaking just theatrical. And I'm so like entranced with this scene that's going on right in front of me, that he gets to these three trees that all were very similar right there together. And I could not remember if they were 35 or 45 yards. Like, for the life of me, I'm like, I know I ranged those trees. And my mind went blank, and I could not. And I guessed 35, and they were 45. And I drew back, and he's standing perfectly broadside right by these trees. And I let it go. And when I let it go, I was like, he did. Like, it was tracking, like I can see it in my mind in slow motion. It's tracking. And I'm like, that's going to hit perfect, like heart shot. And you know how it does when you shoot low, like at the last second, it's like a splitter.
Bottom falls out of
it. It's like a really good change up, or like a really good split. It just boom, just falls out. And I'm like, oh my God, I missed him. Like, barely missed him. Like, right. I don't know how it didn't touch him.
Yeah.
But he didn't even flinch. Like no earthly idea what happened. Like, didn't even flinch. I'm like, oh shit. Well, I guess if I back up just a little bit, one thing that happened was when we set up the first time and he bugled and he was still down below the hill, I actually moved up like 5 steps to this big dead log that was on the ground because it was just a better spot for me to stand where there was like a tree and a bush and a dead log. And I was like, well, that's actually a little bit better spot. So I moved up. Well, when I did, I had already knocked an arrow and I left my quiver at the tree 5, 6 steps behind me. And so I shoot and the arrow goes under the elk and he doesn't even move. And he's just looking around for the calling he had heard. And he turned his head and looked the other way, and I'm like immediately just dropped down, and I'm behind that big log on the ground, so he can't see me. I leave my bow and everything, and I start belly crawling back to the tree where my quiver is. And as I'm turned around, I look, and my buddy like sticks his head out from behind a cedar tree or whatever, and he looks like, and he throws his hands up like, "What are you doing?" Because he doesn't know what's going on. Like he's been like further back calling, and I'm like pointing, and I'm like, my eyes are like saucers, and I'm like, don't move, I'm like trying like with my hands to like, don't move. And he looks up and sees the elk standing back there, and then he's like, oh. And I point at my quiver, and he's like, we're like doing this whole conversation with our eyes, and he's like, oh shit. And he watches me crawl up there, get my quiver, crawl back to my bow, and as I'm making that crawl, I hear the elk start walking, and I'm like, oh shit. But I don't know which direction he's walking. I just hear him walking, on the other side of the log. And so I just, in the panic moment that I was kind of panicked, but in that panic moment, I made every decision correctly. I got everything right. And I like peeked up above the log and I saw him walking, and he was walking parallel to me broadside. And I kind of peeked and I saw a tree he was walking towards. I ranged that tree. It was 45 yards. And all in one motion, I stood up and drew all in one motion. And when I got to my anchor point, he stopped right at that tree.
Jeez.
And I freaking milked him at 45 yards, and he ran off. And so, we did the whole celebration, and we were excited. And I knew it was a good shot. My buddy was like, yeah, he saw it. He said he thought it was a good shot. He kind of stopped and quartered away slightly. So I hit him, back in the rib cage, angled up in. Everything looked right. But you ask, about how big they are, So the craziest thing is we didn't end up making a hunt film out of this because of everything I just said. We didn't get all the shot part on camera because it was chaotic. We're blood trailing this thing, and as big as he was, I had a good blood trail. But and I'm sure even trailing whitetail deer, you run into this where you get into open areas, and that gets kind of hairy.
It's tough
because it wasn't. I mean, it was short grass. It was like it wasn't really a meadow. It was just kind of an opening with smaller evergreen trees in it. So it's kind of a meadow. But you go from being in the woods where you have trails and leaves that really kind of show where the animals are moving and how they're using it and how they're walking, to just open grass. And if they go left or right, if it's not really, really good blood trail, they can go left or right pretty quick and easy and you get going the wrong way, So we're having to like really pay attention. And this humongous animal is laying dead right by a tree, right in the middle of this wide open. And I literally, it's on the film that we did. We're filming this blood trail, and I'm like so focused on the ground trying to stay on the blood trail. Like I'm looking at this little collection of rocks, and they got blood splatter all over them. And I'm saying something to the camera, and he's zoomed up on the rocks showing the blood splatter. And I'm like, man, he couldn't have gone very far, And like he kind of pans up on accident. He just kind of pans up off the rock. The dang elk is literally laying dead. And I'm not kidding y'all, like 3 steps from me.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
in the wide open. And I was so focused on the blood trail, I never even looked up. And it's this huge 600-700. I don't know what they weigh.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. They're
a
huge.
lot.
bunch.
Like laying there in the wide open. I mean, like just in the wide open. And I walked up to literally could have just about kicked him if I'd have tried hard enough, and never saw him until the camera. Like he's like, oh, there he is. And I'm like, even then he goes, oh, there he is. And I start looking around like, where? He's like, at your feet. And I look down, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's like right there. If it was a snake, it'd have bit me, like, so it's kind of crazy, but yeah, they are big. They're tremendously big. And I have a lot of respect, after that and those other hunts, I have a lot of respect for guys that do that. And then, the hardship of the hunt itself, but then, tending to the animal and getting an animal that size out of that backcountry, you have to, do all your processing and stuff on the ground, and then you got to pack, and it's tough, man. It's rewarding, and it's an awesome experience. But yeah, like one of the first things I did, Austin, you kind of asked the question about how big they are. Like the first thing I did is like I grabbed a hoof, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like his hoof is almost as big as my head.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a cool experience.
That's funny because that's one of like the first things you can really put into comparative. Like,
yeah.
a deer hoof next to it, and then you're looking at an elk hoof, and you're like, wow,
Whoa.
dude, that is insanely different. Crazy.
Yeah, and you see the tracks on the tracks on the ground, but it doesn't do it justice when you actually like put your hands on it.
Get
It's
a hold
huge.
of it.
I mean, it's like so. Yeah, they're impressive. I'm still eating. We're still eating on that thing. So
there you go.
yeah.
That's cool too.
That's awesome.
I just ran into some elk last weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went up for a rattlesnake hunt, and we've been rattlesnake
Oh,
hunting.
what? Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
If you lost your freaking mind, rattlesnake hunting.
Oh yeah.
No way, dude.
Oh yeah. It's
No
a
way.
blast. It is what it is, right? It's a filler. We've been doing this for I don't know 6 years now, maybe 7 years.
He's been doing this.
Me, yeah. Sorry,
I don't do
some,
snakes, Locke.
Some friends.
Yeah,
that
Austin,
join
me and you are on the same team, brother. I don't hunt for snakes. I hunt opportunities to stay away from snakes. Like I am not I live in Louisiana where there's snakes everywhere, and I hate them.
Yeah.
Like with a passion.
I hear you. I listen. It kind of goes back to what you were saying. It brings you to places within our own state that you just don't typically go to.
It's true.
The areas snakes live in are so remote and so gorgeous and like steep. Honestly, rocky,
Dude.
beautiful areas.
Yeah, nah. You're well, nah.
We found
you
one, but we
come to Louisiana, brother. They live like on my back porch. Like they're not elusive at all. They're everywhere.
You have way too many other snakes I don't want to deal with, so I'm good.
Yeah, I killed a huge rattlesnake in my backyard last fall, like huge. So yeah, I don't know about Pennsylvania, but where I'm from, they're not elusive at all. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
But
it depends. There's sometimes you'll see them like people they're going right through your front yard, and then there's other times like it took us I think 3 years to finally find a snake of looking like up and down power lines, going through all the obvious BS, and we finally started finding them a couple of years ago, and we just been doing it ever since. But this is the first year, and I think 6 or 7. This might be my 7th year that I've been snake hunting. The first time I've seen elk. And I mean, we're in the heart of elk country.
But they're starting to get more populated up there.
Oh
right?
yeah, we got
They
a
have
great
some
herd.
limited draw.
Yeah, we have a fantastic
Limited
herd.
draw stuff up there, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very limited. They just did some changes to it as well.
I'm just waiting for that draw this year, buddy. I got like 10 points, and it's like winning the redneck lottery. But
You
I'm
never
hopeful.
know. They've made everyone's odds a lot better in the fact that now they're going to a one and done. So if you draw from here on out a bull tag, you're done. You can never draw a bull tag again in our state. They've dropped non-residents to 10%, which isn't a huge change. I guess statistically they've been drawing in at like 12 to 13% anyways. But again, it limits. It makes residents a little bit, and they're increasing the number of tags pretty much every year.
Yeah.
So the herd is growing, definitely growing. We have some real, dude. I saw a really nice bull elk when we were up there. We were kind of coming up, and our buddy beat us to the spot, and he said he had run into some elk, some cow, and we're driving down the road. And we see this guy standing on the road with his phone up. We're like, well, I'm guessing that's where the elk are. But like you said, you'd be surprised with how big they are. It wasn't until we were right on top of them we could finally see this giant cow elk standing there, and then I look like 20 yards to the left of her. There's a giant bull just standing there watching us, like full velvet.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you what's big. A freaking moose is what's big.
Yeah.
So we saw moose. We actually had a moose tag on the caribou hunt in Newfoundland, and the goal was we were trying to kill caribou first, and if we killed a caribou, which we did, one of the guys in camp actually killed on the second day, and he killed it right on the bank, right by the cabin, like the most ridiculously convenient ever for that kind of hunt. And it was, I think, I don't know if they got the official, but I think it was somewhere around like the number 5 largest ever woodland caribou killed with a bow.
Whoa.
It was killed in our camp. Now this was my buddy's dad. He was hunting with a different guide, and he wasn't part of the filming that we were doing. And you can see that caribou hunt on SKRE TV and Carbon TV and the YouTube channel and all. But and that bull he killed. I mean, there's some B-roll of his bull in the footage, but I was actually hunting with my buddy, and so but his dad killed it, and it was, I think they're estimating the number 5 woodland caribou with the bow in the world.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's
dude.
super impressive.
We didn't kill ours until the last day, like the last hour of the last day. So we didn't actually get a chance to hunt moose, but we saw them. And most directly, what we're talking about, like their size, we saw two things. One time we were on a rock on a high point overlook, and we saw our guide was like, "Hey, look over there. There's an elk walking." And we're looking, and he's like, "No, like way over there." And he's looking like 3 miles away. And when we finally figured out what he was pointing at, like this thing was so big, you could literally see that it was a bull moose at 3 miles walking. Like it's like, holy crap! Like you could see.
It's like a radar beacon.
Yeah.
And he was like, "That's a really big bull. Like that's a really big bull moose," is what he's telling us. And we're like, and you could see it with your bare eyes at that far. I mean, you couldn't see how big it was, but you could see the shape of it. And it was walking down this ridge, kind of in the bog out there. And then another time we were stalking caribou, and we like come around this kind of brushy area, and there's a cow elk standing at probably 60 or 70 yards on this edge with a calf. And I swear it looked like she was 15 feet tall. I was like, holy, we come around this corner. I'm like, oh my God. I swear like I'm looking up to see her head. Like she was so big. Those things are huge, man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So,
That's insane. Yeah. A moose would be, that would be interesting.
That's
Like,
my number one bucket list right there.
My God, that would be intense. Like those things are so enormous. And what's the size limit up there too? There's a restriction, right? Like certain inch.
I honestly don't know because, like I said, we never got into it. Like we had caribou, a moose, and a bear tag, and we saw one bear and one moose that were big enough for us to maybe hunt. But we were kind of in the middle of caribou both times, and so we didn't. So
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but they got big ones in that. I mean, like different types of moose across the North America, but this one was these up there, they're pretty big, and they kill some big ones. And some of the stories they told us about some of the hunts, kind of unbelievable, like kind of wild. I think it would be pretty cool.
Imagine packing one of those things out.
Honestly.
You thought the elk was rough.
Dude, the caribou we killed, we quartered it up out. We were like 4 miles out in the bog, which is miserable, by the way. Just if you like every step you take is calf deep, and it could be waist deep. Like it's a bog. And we're 4 miles across that thing where we killed this thing. We're standing in knee deep water, quartering him up, trying to get him on a little dry spot. And we literally tagged him, and a freaking helicopter came and got him out.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like we quartered him up, put him in big white game bags, and the guide like did a pin thing on his GPS, and a helicopter came in. They had these big carrier things on the legs of the helicopter. They loaded all the bags up in a helicopter and flew him out of there.
Dude, that is service.
You couldn't have like jumped on and gotten a ride out of there?
No, I tried. They said it was illegal. I'm like,
I tried, he says.
Like, well,
I can't blame you.
Yeah.
Man. 4 miles of bog or a helicopter ride.
Yeah, in the dark. I had to walk 4 miles through a bog in the dark to get back to the cabin. It was like 27 degrees. It was miserable. It was freaking terrible, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what, for all those crazy hunts you went on, I'm guessing you had some pretty stellar gear that you were wearing and you had with you.
Well, so nice segue. Professionally done, Chuck.
Got you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it does, like on a serious note, like I feel like last year, I mean, I've been with the company for since 2017 in some capacity. I've been, full time with the company now for 3 years. And I guess as a whitetail hunter, spring turkey hunter, occasional, other stuff, I've always recognized it, the quality gear aspect of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you don't really appreciate it till you get in that situation.
Right.
Till you get in those kind of situations, you don't truly appreciate what lightweight performance gear does and layering does and all of the benefits of that. Like, when you get in that situation, and that goes, I know, Chuck, you've worked with me at shows before and stuff, and you've probably heard me tell people, like, our tagline is SKRE Extreme Hunting Gear. And it used to be a long time ago, it was Extreme Mountain Gear, because the company was founded out in Utah, and our original founder was a big mountain hunter, and that was the original, the kind of the original thing behind the brand and behind the company. But it's obviously evolved, and we've grown and cover more than just mountain hunting. But I've had people at these shows be like, well, I mean, this stuff's made for the mountains, right? It's mountain gear. And I'm like, I mean, pants are pants,
Right.
you know, like,
Right.
I mean, but I understand the question. And what I guess you may have heard me say this at some point before is like, if I can sell you a set of gear, and you can take that gear and go into the mountains for 5 to 7 days, sleeping in a tent, hiking all day, every day, all of these different scenarios you find yourself in. And that gear keeps you, comfortable, keeps you on the hunt. It does its job. I'm pretty sure that it'll be okay in a tree stand for 3 or 4 hours. Pretty sure it's got you covered.
With your 50-yard walk.
Yeah, like when you get off your four-wheeler and walk 150 yards and climb up in your ladder stand, I'm pretty sure we got you covered, So that's kind of my take. But you're right. Like as a whitetail guy who grew up in deer camp lifestyle, and I mean hunting hard and stuff, it's still not the same. And when you put yourself in those environments, you start to realize what quality gear, what difference it really makes. And so I've gotten the chance to practice what I preach a little bit.
Heck yeah. I have to
Probably
ask.
since the last time we talked.
Yeah, I have to ask, throughout all of last year, what was like that number one piece of gear that you were like, I had to have this on all of these hunts, or else shit would have probably gotten a lot worse.
Great question.
Yeah. Oh man, that's really hard, because I can take this question in a bunch of different directions. Like I can justify the answer in 3 or 4 different ways. So all right, so let me do it this way. For like, as far as an item that I wore all the time, every day, like I wore it in every configuration. It would be the 300 merino hoodie, because I wore it all the time. Like it's breathes, and it's lightweight enough to kind of be a really, really effective mid layer, warm days, or good insulation when it's colder and all that kind of stuff. So for like what I'm going to put on my body and wear all day, every day, no matter how I'm layering, it would be that. As far as a functional piece that I probably couldn't have done without, but I didn't necessarily use it all the time, would be the Ptarmigan packable jacket. Like the weight and convenience of how small that packs down, how lightweight it is to carry, but then how warm and how much it blocks wind. And, specifically on the caribou hunt, which, it was cold up there. And when you get up on a high lookout in an open bog like that, obviously the wind is a major factor. And so to be able to have that packable down and be able to just throw that on while you're up there glassing, and then be able to quickly, you spot a caribou, he's in the right spot, you need to make a move right now, to be able to take that off real quickly, pack it up and roll, and not be bogged down, but still be able to sit there in the cold wind. And I mean, there were times where we would sit for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time glassing. So, and the same thing on the elk hunts. I mean, just being able to have that jacket is functionally, but then probably the third part of the answer I give you is just you having good rain gear, having good packable lightweight rain gear, because it serves as a windbreaker, in a layering that way. But when you're in those kind of elements, you don't really have the choice to get out of them. So when it gets wet, I mean, it's just something you got to have. And you don't want heavy, thick, rain gear that's not really necessarily breathable or not comfortable for moving a lot. I mean, it's one thing to be able to sit still and put something on to block the rain. It's another thing to put something on that allows you to move and do everything you're doing and continue to keep you dry. So that's a 3-part answer, but that's where I'll go with all that.
Listen,
That's a great answer. I love all those pieces.
I was going to say, I probably could have guessed 2 out of 3 of those. And the only thing I would have changed in that 3-item list that personally would have been, for instead of the 300 merino, the 150 quarter zip is the only thing I would have changed in all that. But in your scenario, the 300 makes a lot more sense,
Yeah, I mean, and I wear the 150 quarter zip a whole lot, especially as just the next to skin. So, I mean, that would be a good answer, but, you got to pick something. You put me on the spot.
I sure did.
But I mean, in fairness, I wear that 300 hoodie like 85% of the time. I wear camouflage, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the warmest early season, like September, early October, and then the warmest part of the springs, about the only time I don't wear it. I wear it pretty much whether I'm wearing it as a base layer for insulation, or if I'm just wearing it as a super comfortable midweight shirt with a vest over the top or something like that. I mean, I wear it all the time. So
Yeah.
that was an easy answer for that.
It's a fully functional piece that has a huge range. That's what I always talk about with the ptarmigan jacket as well. When people ask me kind of like, should I go Guardian or ptarmigan? I'm like, listen, you're going to get so much more use out of a ptarmigan jacket for all different parts of the season. You can do so much more with it too. Like a lot of times I have that from day one of archery until, the last day I hunt in late season. It's in my bag. It lives there.
Yeah.
Because, temperature drops 20 degrees at the end of a hunt and you're wearing a 150 base layer and that's all you have on. You're going to start to get chilly, especially if you, sweat a little bit. Yeah, it's going to moisture wick and everything else. But towards the end of that hunt, I'd throw that thing on. I killed 2 deer in it last year in the first or second day of the season. And it wasn't cold out. I mean, it was warm out, but I had that jacket on,
To your point, I like that jacket is very versatile. I mean, people think of down insulation and they think of cold, right? Like down is a supreme insulator. It's a warm fabric or material to wear, but like it all depends on what you do underneath it, really. Like, because to your point, it's warmer down here than up there, but even kind of in the middle of the season where you're still kind of phasing out of fall and towards winter, where you'll have some really warm days, or at least some wide range where it's really cool in the mornings and in the evenings, but it'll get up like 72, 73 degrees in the middle of the day, and quickly drop back down in the 50s and, be 50 degrees in the morning and 72 at 11:30 in the morning. On those days, I mean, like that jacket, if you're a whitetail hunter that hunts mobile or a whitetail hunter that hunts public ground and walks a long ways, it's really nice to be able to wear like a merino t-shirt, lightweight merino t-shirt or quarter zip, and be really light and put in the miles or steps or however you want to measure it to really get where you want to go to hunt mobile the way you want to hunt. And instead of having to have like 2 or 3 layers to complement that temperature change later in the hunt, you just got one little 16-ounce stuff, and that thing will cover you all the way down to freezing temperatures, even with just one lightweight shirt underneath it, and then at the same time, if it's absolutely blistering, freezing cold, windy and wet conditions and all that, you can throw a rain jacket or a hard scrabble shell jacket or something over the top of that down, and it's absolutely a supreme insulator, for the coldest you want to sit in. So the versatility of that jacket, to your point, is a phenomenal thing. Like and people, like I said, I think sometimes people think, oh, well, yeah, that's really nice, but I don't need that. That's really, really cold. But it's really not. Like you said, to your point, Chuck, and I'm the same way. I'll wear that jacket when it's 60 degrees, and I don't have anything but a t-shirt on underneath it.
Exactly. Yep.
Or a super lightweight base layer shirt on underneath it. So and it takes the place of so many layers.
Yeah. For being as lightweight as it is too, though, I will say if you're cold and you put that thing on, it is instant warmth.
Instant.
It's like sitting next to the furnace, man. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it is
a big seller for me on that point.
I've always compared it to
it's crazy when you're
on.
You guys know, because you've worked in the booth before, like when you see somebody come in the booth and they put it on to try it on, and like within 5 seconds they're like, oh crap, I feel it already. Like you feel it immediately. It's like somebody puts a like it's like you said, like it's like you stepped into that bubble of warmth. Like, boom, immediately.
Right now. Yeah.
And when people ask all the time. People ask me all the time about windproof. Like we don't market windproof necessarily, as far as like we've prototyped some windproofing material into some pieces and didn't like the way it turned out, in terms of dexterity and sound and all that kind of stuff. Man, when you layer fleece and down the right way, that is windproof.
Yeah.
Like that's as windproof as you're going to get anyway.
Yep.
And to your point, Austin, the reason you feel that way when you zip that jacket up, the reason you feel that way is because it is a barrier layer. Nothing gets through it.
Yeah.
Like even just your basic thermals in the air, wherever you're sitting right now, like none of that gets through, So, it doesn't have any kind of special technology that we can market as windproof, but I'm just telling you, if you layer correctly with merino, with fleece, and with down, you're going to achieve as close as what you can achieve to windproof without us marking up our gear 10% because we put some kind of plasticky windproofing technology in it that's really just a bunch of hockey.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So you can put a little tag on there that says windproof.
I'll shoot you straight if nobody else will.
That's right. I'm thinking of Tommy Boy, like, they're just guaranteeing you a piece of shit is what they're guaranteeing you.
I didn't say that. Words of my mouth. I didn't say it quite like
That was
that.
me. That was me.
But touche.
Yeah. No, I've seen the comments, you know, you got to live every once in a while in some Facebook comments and it's like people asking, you know, what is it windproof? Is it windproof? I'm like, listen, if you're wearing a ptarmigan jacket and you have a hard scrabble jacket over top of that ptarmigan, I don't know where you live and hunt, but there ain't wind that unless you're in a tornado or in a really bad weather, which you probably shouldn't be hunting in the first place, there ain't wind that's going to break through those two layers.
No.
There's just not.
Not to the point that you can't be comfortable and finish your hunt.
Right.
Yeah.
Like something that I say all the time. I say it on podcasts in conversation. I say it to people in conversation, and you know, in the show booth and stuff like that. Is like, I feel like sometimes when we get away from hunting season and we're on social media or we're at a expo event during the off season, we get a little bit the word I'm looking for. We kind of get not fanatical, but we kind of fantasize about the seasons past or the seasons upcoming, and we think really in depth about things, and we kind of forget that we hunt because we enjoy being outdoors. And if you enjoy going outdoors, and like for me, like I'm outside, like if I go hunting in the rain, I expect to get a little bit wet. Yeah, I want rainproof gear to keep my gear good and keep me good, but I don't expect to live in a bubble. You know, I don't expect to wear gear that puts me in a bubble where it feels like I'm sitting in my air conditioned office. Like you're not going to feel that way. If it's freezing cold and the wind's blowing, you're going to get a little bit cold. That's it. And I think part of us kind of loses sight of the fact that we enjoy being outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Like we want to go outside and experience nature and enjoy being outdoors. And part of that is experiencing the elements. And what your gear needs to do is your gear needs to keep you comfortable and confident enough to give you the time you need in the field to be successful. Because ultimately, the amount of time you have in the field has a direct correlation to how successful you are as a hunter. Now, like that's a 30,000 foot view kind of statement, because there's obviously people that go hunting for the first time and they're successful in their first hunt, you know, in the first hour. It happens,
sure.
right? Like a first time turkey hunter stumbles up on the wrong 2-year-old on the first morning and he just commits suicide. It does happen, but if you hunt for long enough, you will, I think you guys would agree. If you hunt for long enough, you will start to realize the direct correlation between time that you have to put in versus your success. And the guys who can spend the most time in the field, regardless of where they hunt or how they hunt, the more time they have to commit to it, the higher their odds of success go up. And so your gear needs to be, in my opinion, you need to look at your gear choices, both apparel and otherwise, from the standpoint that I'm going outdoors. I'm facing cold, I'm facing wet, I'm facing hot, I'm facing wind, you know, and I need gear that complements what I'm trying to do and makes me comfortable and keeps me confident and gives me time in the field. If you're a consumer that's trying to create, like I said, this proverbial hypothetical bubble that just completely blocks everything, you're not going to find it. You're going to constantly be disappointed because, to your point, Chuck, like, yeah, if you put a hard scrabble shell jacket over down insulation, I'm not sure you can really do a whole lot. If you get cold in that, then you're probably going to be cold in just about anything else. You're just going to, like, that's just who you are, you know? And, you know, and I would go even as far as say, it's just for me personally, like, I don't care too much for hunting out of ground blinds and box blinds because I like to be able to hear and see and feel. Like, I don't like being enclosed. Not that I don't ever do it, or that I don't have that, or that I have any kind of issue with that style of hunting. It's not that at all. It's just personally, I like to feel the wind change direction. That tells me something about where I'm hunting, how I'm hunting. You know, I want to be able to hear when something's moving around behind me, you know, or that squirrel over my left shoulder starts barking. I want to know that because he's barking at something. Something's moving in the woods and I need to know it, you know. And, you know, so like, I think like I say that to just kind of highlight my point is like, I go outdoors to be outdoors. And so I just think it's wise for people when they're looking into gear to look for performance and quality and not try to, you know, in their mind, invent something that's like, well, if I buy this, I'm never going to get cold. No, you know, it's never going to. No, that's not true. If you hunt in the late season and it's, you know, 5 degrees and the wind's blowing 25, you're probably going to get a little bit cold. The question is, does your gear handle that well enough for you to be able to put the time in you need to hunt that late season?
Yeah.
that's the question you should be asking yourself about your gear, I think.
Well, I think I need to correct you for a second because there is one piece that will keep you warm, and that is that Guardian jacket.
Yeah.
That thing will keep you warm.
Go.
True and tested in the coldest days that we had last year, and it is impressive.
Yeah,
man.
it is.
Now I understand what you mean, but
well, I have to lean on you for that because it just doesn't get that cold where I'm at. Like, to be honest with you, you look at SKRE as a company, and where our headquarters is in Southern Utah, and there's not a lot of guys wearing a Guardian hiking up in the mountains. If they would have a stroke trying to do that. It's too much. And then you got me down in the South where. I mean, I'm going to be honest. We came out with the Guardian like 3 or 4 years ago. I've probably only worn that thing a half a dozen or so times because it just simply doesn't get that cold.
Right.
Like, I mean, not for the way I hunt.
Yeah.
Like, now, if I were a more casual hunter that, hunted mostly just rifle season and late season, and I didn't want to have a lot of gear, I just wanted to have a kind of one nice cold weather jacket, or something. But for hunting the way I hunt and bow hunting and mobile hunting and all that, like, it just doesn't get cold enough for me to need that layer.
Yeah.
The bibs or the jacket. I just don't wear it that much. But, I can say that the few times I have worn it, it's been really, really, really cold. And it is an amazing piece. It's a lot now. I mean, if you hunt cold conditions or you're a cold weather person, somebody that gets cold easily, it's 100% waterproof. It's as windproof as you're going to get for that kind of garment. And it's got the same kind of down insulation inside of a much more robust outer shell. And it is an absolutely beast of a jacket and bib combo. Like, it's unbelievable. It will handle just about anything that the human body's going to handle as far as going out in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say our first day of gun season last year was brutal, dude. And I threw that thing on and I was hot. I was like,
oh yeah, you walk like 100 yards in that thing, and you have to stop and let the steam out.
You got to take it off.
It's incredible. I think last year, I know we were in the single digits, if not colder, on opening day, and the wind chill I'm sure was negative. And I went in with a 300 merino hoodie on, and that's it, and threw the Guardian jacket on, and I was comfortable. I didn't need anything else. I mean, I was purely comfortable. I may have had the hard scrabble vest on as well, but I don't know because I had that orange gunner vest that you guys used to sell. So,
well, the other great thing about the Guardian too is for guys that like to bow hunt in the cold. I mean, it is a big, thick jacket, but the way it's cut and designed, it's as debulked as you can be for something that robust.
Oh yeah, you can draw real easy.
You can draw and shoot in it. I mean, it might be a little bit more than someone who's not used to bow hunting if you're not used to bow hunting in the cold, it might feel like a little bit more than you're used to. But compared to, gear from years past where you had to really bulk up to handle the cold and you just really couldn't shoot your bow, like, this might be more than what you're used to if you don't hunt that way with a bow and arrow, but it is absolutely made to allow you to move, and you can draw and hunt in it. Like, I've bow hunted in it, and honestly wasn't really sure. Like, the first time I bow hunted in it, I was like, man, I've made a few shots wearing it. I know I can do it, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't normally wear anything that heavy when I'm bow hunting, and I don't normally need to where I'm at, because usually when I travel to whitetail hunt, it's in November in the Midwest, and there might be a few cold days, but not blistering cold, not like late season cold like y'all get up there. And down here, it just very rarely gets that cold. And I wasn't sure, but I mean, I actually was very surprised and happy with it. And I almost killed a really big deer wearing it with my bow this year. We had a really cold day, and I made a hunt in it, and I didn't actually get the shot, but I had to draw back twice and let down as the deer was trying to kind of getting around me. And I don't think I'd have had it. If the deer had ever stopped and given me the right shot, I would have been able to make it with no problem. And I'm on a small, Lone Wolf custom gear, 0.75, which is not the smallest, but it's a small platform. So I ain't got a lot of room to move. And I was still able to do everything I needed to do and draw back twice and let down twice. And the deer never knew I was there. And that's wearing that big bulky jacket,
Yeah.
So
I will.
Yeah, it's an impressive piece for sure.
Yeah. I'll give it all the props in the world because I love that thing. And granted, I typically do wear it like gun season because that's when it gets that cold. I don't know if I've worn it yet in archery, but I will say years past, way a long time ago, we hunted Ohio and it never got out of the single digits that whole week we hunted. And man, back then, the clothes we wore, I was like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and I was still cold. Like, that's how bad it used to be, you know, just trying to stay warm in that stuff. And I remember that old jacket I had, I borrowed it off of a friend who used to take it out west on his trips, and it was like super puffy. I mean, I'm pretty sure I ended up shooting a deer and I hit the sleeve on it at mid shot. I mean, that's how it was back then, you know. The technology wasn't there. But since we're talking Guardian, though, you guys, we got to talk about some new items that are coming out. And I understand that there's going to be some new Guardian type material items dropping here.
Yes.
Real soon, right? Like within a week.
Yeah. So, we're hoping by Monday, July the 28th, whenever y'all post this as you're listening to this, that's your date stamp.
That's when this is going to drop.
That's the day this will drop.
So, yeah.
We're hoping that by Monday, July 28th, everything is checked in and inventoried and ready for fulfillment. And we are expanding the Guardian line. So we have a Guardian jacket and bib combo, and we came out with a Guardian beanie, which basically the Guardian accessories that we're expanding to are kind of similarly designed as the beanie. So it's the same brushed polyester outer, but the really thick Sherpa fleece on the inside, which is the same fleece that you get in the pockets and in the hood of the Guardian jacket and in the chest pockets of the Guardian bib. So we expanded that out into a neck gaiter and a balaclava, as well as a a waist strap hand muff, kind of like you put around your waist and both your hands go in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we've expanded that Guardian. So now you've got a bib jacket, neck gaiter, balaclava, beanie, hand warmer. And then of course our Bridger glass and mitts got the same kind of fleece and outer layer protection. Now those things don't have the down that the jacket and bib have, but they do have the Sherpa fleece and the brushed polyester outer shell fabric. That's the expansion of the Guardian line. The product that I'm most excited about that we're adding to the lineup this year is what we're calling the Sawtooth jacket. And it's not really a jacket, it's a pullover. It's a half zip. So imagine if you took a regular hoodie with kind of a kangaroo pouch pocket on the front. Imagine you took that and you made it half zip. And if you're familiar with our Grid Light jacket, the outer fabric is the Grid Light fleece. The inner fabric is the Guardian Sherpa fleece. It has the half zip down the front. It has a hood and a, kind of pullover chassis the same way as just a regular hoodie would have. But the really cool thing about this that I think probably is very applicable to the majority of your listening base is we did some features on it for mobile hunting, for mobile whitetail hunting. So it's got a two-way zipper up both rib cages. And so what that does for you is it makes layering in a saddle or in a mobile lock-on set a lot easier, because you can zip that thing all the way up almost to your armpits. You can zip it down all the way to the low middle chest. And so it really opens up. And then with the two-way zips, you can actually zip those side zips up around the bridge of your saddle or around your D-loops for your lineman's belt or safety harness. And so I kind of put that piece together because as much as I love the ptarmigan, and we've talked about it a lot, like I'm a big mobile hunter, right? I probably 75+% of my whitetail sits, I'm going in with sticks and a lock-on or sticks and a saddle. And one of the headaches that I've had over the last several years is, as lightweight and packable as the ptarmigan jacket is, and as warm and versatile and everything that we talked about, specifically in the saddle, you've either got to put your stuff on the ground, or you got to find a way to hold on to the tree and loosen your waist belt and like layer, and it's hard to do. Mm-hmm. Without having that jacket bunched up all around the high waistband of your saddle and around your bridge. And it's just hard. Like, you're either going to get really hot climbing and setting everything up with all this, with the jacket on and layers, or you're going to have to kind of find a way to get layered, standing on that little bitty platform, leaning up and holding on to the tree and all this kind of stuff. It's really annoying. And the same thing can kind of be said for these small form mobile lock-ons. You don't have a lot of room to move around. And so we designed this jacket to be an easy layering piece. You can strap it to your pack. You get set up. You pull your pack up. You hang your pack. This thing goes in, zips up around the bridge. You didn't have to tuck it into your waistband. It's just an easy layering piece, and it's really warm. It's completely silent. It's all fleece, so it's dead silent. it is one of the pieces that we tried the windproof stuff on, and it just messed up the outer fabric, so we threw that out. But we didn't need it. I hunted in the prototype all year last year. As far as whitetail hunting, I hunted in it a lot, and I was really impressed. It performed really well. It was really, really warm. Really, really warm, but not overbearing. Kind of in this kind of the same versatile kind of category that the ptarmigan is. I mean, obviously a very different product, but not overbearing, but plenty warm enough. If you've got a decent base layer or like a 300 hoodie and something on, you can wear it when it's really cold, or you can wear it in moderate, moderate cool temperatures. And so I'm really excited about that piece. I think for whitetail hunters, specifically mobile hunters, I think it's going to be a product that people really like. And I paired it up with our new hard scrabble bibs, which is a midweight bib. I paired it with that a lot, and I had a lot of success that way.
Yeah.
So that's a new product that people should be on the lookout for the season that I think would be tremendously complimentary for that style of hunting. And some of the other stuff, we've got some lifestyle stuff. We got some flannels and some quarter zip sweaters that, they could be mid layers for people that don't want a camo, that want to wear the earth tones and stuff. They could also be really nice if you're taking your wife out to dinner or whatever, just kind of everyday outdoor apparel kind of stuff. And the other new product that's brand new to the line to mention is the Rancher. The Rancher is performance button-up shirts, collared button-up shirts, similar to, a lot of companies have them, the Columbia Fishing shirt or the Poncho brand shirts from down in Texas, and so we'll have a short sleeve and a long sleeve version of that. And these shirts are vented, and they're made out of the same lightweight material as our Uinta pant. And so we'll have those in both of our camos as well as in solid color options. And so I think that's going to be really popular, especially for early season and maybe spring and stuff like that. And then outside of that, most of the new stuff that we have coming is going to be an expansion of sizes and color options in existing items. So you'll see us going down to extra small and up to 4X in various different items that we already offer, and also expanding solid color options in more categories and more options. So that's a lot of what's new.
Nice.
This year.
One other item too that you told us about, Locke, that if I'm not mistaken, you guys kind of tease dropped this a little while back, is the 300 gram merino neck gaiter.
Yeah. So I didn't mention that one. I should have, because I really love it. And the truth of it is we've already had it, but we made a limited run of them in the Summit camo, and we just sold them online. We just wanted to kind of test them out. It was a couple of years ago, and it kind of was nondescript. Like, I really loved it, and I'm like, why aren't we doing more of this? I think this is great, because to me, the 150 net gator is a good piece, but for colder weather or tree stand hunting, it's just not enough.
Nope.
It's just not quite enough. The 300 was better. So I did. I guess I brought it up enough that it got put into inventory fully, and now it's going to be offered in both camo patterns. So yeah, it's just a simple net gator, but that 300 weight makes a big difference.
It sure does.
And
boy, is it comfortable. That is probably one of the most comfortable pieces. Like, again, with the 300 hoodie, it's like that, but around your neck. Because back in the day, the funny part was, before they dropped that little limited run, I would wear two 150s over top of one another.
Yeah.
And that's how I'd run in the cold. And the problem with the 150s is too, it's so thin that when it gets real cold like that, you start breathing into it and you build condensation on it, and it basically starts to feel wet a lot, and then you're rotating it around your neck. But the 300, you don't really get that. I mean, that thicker material is just, it's beautiful. But I was like, Summit, this is late season. I need solace. So now I got to buy one in solace.
I don't really know the whole story behind the limited run of them that we did, but I know that I raised enough awareness about it. Like, look, guys, this is like, for tree stand hunters specifically, that 150 gator is good for some of the season, but it's not good for when it gets colder and you're sitting for a long time. And like, to expand upon this topic of conversation for people, if you're not wearing a net gator, don't talk to me about windproof.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I mean, if you don't realize how much difference it makes to wear a net gator and tuck it into the collar of whatever you're wearing, whether it's a SKRE net gator or somebody else's net, to block off your collar makes a huge difference. Like, and it's not like you're protecting your neck. You're holding in body heat and keeping cold draft out.
Right.
And even the 150 helps.
Oh yeah.
Anything helps.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about wind, and I understand being worried about wind, because, like, honestly, and I'm sure you guys know this, and anybody that's hunted very much knows, you can sit in some pretty low temperatures without wind. But it doesn't have to be all that cold on the thermometer to feel really cold when the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
like,
Nothing cuts through you and puts that chill to your bone like a stiff wind when it's cold.
Yeah, and I mean, 35 degrees with a really cold wind is colder than a still high pressure 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 100%. It's colder.
Mhm.
Feels colder. And so, yeah, a neck gaiter is a big deal to me. Like, and I honestly, it's a big enough deal to me that sometimes I'm like, I don't know how anybody doesn't have one in their pack. Like, how do you sit in a tree stand in cooler temperatures for hours without blocking off that collar? Because it makes such a big difference in just holding heat in and keeping that cold draft out. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be it's a pretty simple piece, but I think it was so simple that we had to add it in, and offer it in both camos, because it's just so complimentary of no matter what you're doing, whether it's mild cold or real cold. It's just the comfort of it and the complimentary nature of what it does for the rest of your layers and everything. It's a big deal. So yeah, that should be on everybody's list if they're tree stand hunters, for sure.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is it's merino. So like you mentioned, it doesn't have to be all that cold out. And the beautiful thing about the SKRE 300 is how long it is. A lot of times you can bring that thing up over your mouth and then up over your ears even. And it's kind of nice because I don't really like to cover my ears because I can't hear quite so well. Obviously, when you cover, you got to muffle everything. But when you put merino over your ears, it's a ton different than putting a hood up or something else. And then you can avoid putting that hood up altogether.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't like putting the hood. I like having hoods. I like having the ability to wear it some, but I don't, I like to be able to hear. Like, going back to the comment and the conversation about box stands and ground blinds and stuff, that's one of the reasons I don't like hunting in enclosures like that, because I like to hear, like I depend on my hearing a lot. And so you're right, like, just being able to tuck a gator up around your ears without having to cover them is a big deal. And like I said, it's a complimentary thing, and it's those little things that make a really big difference in how you layer and how you put things together. Yeah, so I think 300 is just the right weight, and then we have the Guardian net gator coming out for the real cold, for the extreme cold.
Yeah, it brings the system together for sure. I'll tell you, perfect move. Bring the neck gator up to the bottom of your ears. Bring your top hat gator straight to the top of your ears. Just leave that little space open there. You can still hear perfect, and everything's warm. Problem solved.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into. I guess that covers the whole new lineup, right? Monday, when this drops, if you're hearing this right now, run over, check it out, see if SKREgear.com, if they have dropped the new products yet. There may be a timer running. Make sure you get to it, because, we've seen, like with the Torrid drop and whatnot, that these things go fast. I mean, people are excited. They're new products, and we should be. We should be excited. This is a monumental drop for SKRE. And I'm glad that we're covering it in perfect timing, as we are. But you teased something to us as well, and I want to know how much you can talk about it. Just the announcement alone, I think, is good enough to get people very fired up.
Yeah.
If you're allowed.
If I'm what?
If you're allowed.
I'm allowed. I mean, it's, I'm not going to try to go into extreme detail because I don't have a lot of details. It's early on, but we are fully committed. And I can say that we are going to have a complete waterfowl line in 2026.
Boom.
And that includes a new camouflage pattern, dedicated for waterfowl hunting, and a complete line of gear engineered and designed specifically for waterfowl hunting, east to west. And, so like I said, without going into extreme detail on any of the technical specifications of all of that, we are working with some people that have experience in creating the kind of gear that's necessary for waterfowl. And we're looking at it from the perspective of every kind of waterfowl, from the extreme northern cold to the flooded timber in the South to the dry field hunting in the Midwest, everything in between. And so what we've tried to do is create a camouflage pattern that's very waterfowl. It's obviously a waterfowl pattern, but it's a versatile pattern that works, kind of sits in the middle of all these different styles of waterfowl and gives you what you need. That's what we're going to come out and start out with. And obviously all of the warranty and all of that kind of stuff will follow, just like everything else, and the quality will as well. And so, we obviously, you're getting into a waterproofing and water resistance game that's a step up from just simple outer garments that protect you from the rain and
For sure.
moisture in the field to you're actually spending hours in the water where the ducks live, so it's a different level of engineering and technical specifications that we have to go through. And, that there's not a whole lot else that I can get into right now, but we are working on a timeline of having stuff this fall that we can field test and prototype and start collecting assets and stuff like that to have a full launch and have that available next year.
Awesome.
So that's
Very
going
cool.
to be a tremendously big jump. Like you mentioned, this is the largest and biggest introduction into our product line in the history of the company. Everything that we just talked about, the number of SKUs that we're adding into our catalog this summer, and then if you add in the couple of items that we introduced in the spring, if you add that to the summer, it's even bigger, and it's the largest growth metric in terms of products added to the catalog in the history of the company. And waterfowl will be even bigger.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in the number of SKUs, but just in the size of the market we're going into, and just servicing more parts of the marketplace, more hunters, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be involved, and I'm getting to experience a lot of cool new stuff here, because we're starting to grow really fast, and that's taking us into new parts of the marketplace and new parts of the industry that we haven't been in before, and waterfowl will be one of those big entries. So,
well, that's a great segue into your new retail realm as well, if you want to cover some of that as well. I know we teased it early on.
Yeah, so we've heard over the years, you hear, where can I find this in the stores? And the truth of it is in 2015, when SKRE was the fall of 2015 was the first year that we sold, so I guess the start of the company. The company started before that, but it was the fall of 2015 before we had products and we sold our first product. And when we started then, going all the way up into 2023, so like for the first 8 years of the company, we were a direct to consumer business. We had a handful of distributors scattered around that distributed our gear into places that don't have a D2C e-commerce kind of presence, but we were a D2C business. And in 2023, I started developing a hybrid retail program, and we kind of went through the ups and downs of that through 23 and into 24, and now in 25 we have completely we have gone that direction. We will always have a D2C presence. You'll always be able to buy SKRE products at skregear.com, but we are moving our overall business strategy a lot more towards retail, to the point that we've adjusted our kind of promotional sales schedule to complement retail business. For those that don't know, when you don't have retailers, you control the margin, right? So you can have promotions and sales a lot, and it doesn't interfere with anybody. But when you start selling gear to a store, you can't undercut their margins and run sales all the time, or they won't buy your stuff.
Right.
So that's a big strategic business change, where you got to go out and set your pricing, and you got to stick to it, and you got to schedule that correctly, and you got to handle that. And that's a scary thing to do, because there comes a point in time, and I look at it, kind of like a water faucet. When you turn the water faucet off, which is the direct to consumer business, when you turn that off, where's the water coming from, right? Because when it's on, you control the margin, right? If you decide you want to move inventory, you can go run a sale, you can go run a promotion, you can throw marketing dollars at the internet, and you can, in many ways predict what your return's going to be. And when you turn that off, you've got to pick up the business on the retail side to make up the difference. And that's a scary thing to do, but we've navigated it really well. So, what that means for listeners and customers of SKRE is you're going to start seeing SKRE on retail shelves all across the country. I think right now we have about 50 or so stores, and I am we're working really diligently to go out and find those stores that are a good fit for our brand and vice versa. And it's growing really fast. And like I said, we're up at around 50 stores right now with probably 20 or 30 more that are very close to placing an order and bringing the brand into their store. So what that means, like I said, is, you'll be able to go in and touch and feel the quality, try on the fit, and actually, be able to do that at stores all across the country, and that will just continue to grow. So that's another really big change for SKRE, where you don't have to kind of guess, how is this going to fit me? Does it run small? Does it run large? I mean, and then for those, people that maybe have a little bit of doubt in their mind, like, well, does this look as good in person as it looks on the internet? Or those pictures doctored to make it look better? Is it really that high quality? Well, now you're going to be able to go into the store and try it on, touch it, feel it, and see for yourself. And that's a big jump for the company as well. And I'm happy to say that that's going really well. And I think that by August, when we start getting really into the heavy into the buying season, where people are really gearing up and getting ready for the fall seasons, which are the biggest seasons, right? There's going to be a lot of SKRE on the shelves all across the country. So that's exciting.
I love it. Super exciting, man. Oh man, I can't wait.
I know too, from working shows and whatnot, it's like once they get their hands on it,
oh yeah,
their whole perspective changes. Everything changes. It's like they go from, kind of walk by to, wow, this is actually really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, like right now, it's great. And you told us that, like, get a jacket on them, get something in front of them so they can see it, feel it, touch it, and what a difference that makes.
Oh man, if I had, if I could count the number of times that I've had somebody, because you guys have worked with me at shows, but in the grand scheme of things, at this point, I don't even know how many events I've worked. Like, it's starting to get burnt out on that a little bit. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's a lot, setting the booth, taking it down, but you get to talk to a lot of people. You get to hear a lot of stories, and it's very valuable. Aside from the gear that you sell and the actual sales that you get, the customer feedback and the feel that you get helps guide a lot of our decision making, because we get a lot of in-person feedback. And I wish I could tell you how many times I've had somebody walk in one of our booths at one of the shows, at expos across the country, and go, man, I've been seeing your stuff online forever, and I just couldn't, I've just been waiting to put my hands on it. Mm-hmm. And when I hear that, the cash register is the sound that I hear in the back of my head, because I know when that person comes in, they're like, oh man, yeah, I've been seeing your stuff online for years. I've been waiting to try it on. I'm like, yep, you're fixing to buy it.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, because when but that is kind of a, like, when you look at that from a business and a strategy kind of point of view, like, that a bell should go off in your head. Like, okay, we've sold X number of pieces of gear, X number of dollars of gear over a 8, 9, 10-year period. If we've sold that much and we keep hearing this, how much more business is it out there that just simply, they're not going to buy apparel online. They're going to buy apparel when they can touch it, feel it, try it on.
Yeah. I mean, and I know SKRE makes it as easy as they possibly can for you to try it. They used to run risk free. I don't know if you guys still do that. The free, return it as many times as you want.
VIP sizing.
VIP sizing. Like, there was plenty of opportunity, but how many people have bought something that they've never touched or felt, and they thought they were getting a great deal, and they get it and it's absolute junk. I know I've done it. I've bought stuff and I get it and it's like, this is not what it was all cracked up to be. This is not what I thought it was going to be. Yeah. SKRE's obviously not that way, but you get burned so many times, you're not going to, continue to risk it. But again, like you said, as soon as someone touches it, there you go.
Well, I give you guys a little bit of a history lesson. Okay, you ready? Like, if you look at if you do like a line graph of SKRE, and on one part of that graph would be trajectory metrics for SKRE in terms of brand growth and sales and market and all that, and then the other the kind of maybe the bottom line of your graph was something more along the lines of like the market in general or the world that we live in and external factors to the market, to the consumer buying market and all that. Well, what you have right square in the middle of SKRE's history is COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So think about this. 2015,
Mhm.
5 years, 2020, COVID. 2025, 5 years later. We're right square right now. So in the middle of our company's history was the largest e-commerce boom that the world has ever seen.
Yep.
For 2 years, you've almost had to shop online. Like stores and in-person shopping, in-person everything was limited the way it was during COVID. We all lived through it. We know what that
It was
was.
a huge inconvenience.
Well, from a business, but from a business standpoint, e-commerce became like skyrocket.
Yeah.
Because everybody was shopping online. People were buying so we've seen both sides of it. So now, in 2015, when the company started, e-commerce was it was a thing, but it wasn't what it is today, right? Like people were starting to, you had eBay and you had Amazon, not the way Amazon is now, but you had eBay and you had e-commerce sites starting to become a thing, but it was still relatively a newer thing. I don't know the timeline behind the growth of e-commerce, but then COVID hit and everything e-com grew exponentially, and SKRE is included in it. But now, 5 years later, that's in the past, and you're starting to see what I think is more normal human behavior, or more normal consumer behavior. I should say consumer, not human. More normal consumer behavior when it comes to things that are like apparel or shoes or anything that has a fit to it, that has a sizing metric to it. Naturally, you're going to want to try that on before you buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, yes, we have gone, I think, as far or maybe further than just about anybody on the customer service side of things. Over the years, we've done VIP sizing. We still do lifetime warranty.
Mm-hmm.
We have gone above and beyond to make that process as easy as possible. But when you got a blue-collar, middle-class guy that wants to deer hunt, and he finally decides, I'm going to spend good money on quality gear, he doesn't want to have to go back and forth with the company 2 or 3 times to get the size that fits him, because he didn't know exactly how your gear ran. He just knew that he liked it, and he liked the brand, and he wanted to try it. And so now we're so far away from that e-com boom that I think that it's pretty clear that there is a huge part of the marketplace that wants to buy high quality hunting and outdoor apparel. And there's just a lot of those people that, like I said, I mentioned, the people that I've talked to in the shows. So, I mean, there's just a lot of those people that they want to touch it and feel it and try it on before they buy it. Yep. And that just feels like the natural progression of our company, kind of the natural maturation of our brand. So, it's from a listener and a consumer standpoint, our pricing has not changed. And nothing has changed about the gear quality other than its accessibility. It's more available. It'll be more available to you. So, one of the biggest things that people can do, people that like our brand and appreciate the kind of gear we make and want to buy, and the best thing you can do is go to your local outdoor shop and tell them you want to see SKRE. Yep. Because that's the biggest feedback we get from retailers is, our brand, like, it's becoming more well known, it's growing, and we're doing our part. But that's one of the number one feedbacks, and you can't blame them. It's like, well, I mean, how many people are going to know what this brand is? Am I going to be able to move product? Well, they do, because people that know what quality gear is, and they walk in there and they see it sitting next to other similar brands, they can tell, they can compare for themselves, and it'll sell itself. But up front, market demand and brand authority are the biggest thing that we have to constantly keep our eye on, and we have to constantly work towards, because that store owner, that retail buyer, they want to know they can move products. So our goal behind this is because I'll be clear about this with y'all and with your listeners. There's no doubt in my mind that we can continue to grow and that we can continue to do exactly what we've been doing by staying D2C, direct to consumer. We could. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt we've proven it to ourselves that we could do it, and we could grow a brand that way, and we could scale a brand that way. But I think that in this marketplace, for this kind of gear, for this kind of product, not even gear, but this kind of product, there's just a huge part of the market that wants to be able to go try it out, and so that's it is a big change for the company, and one that I think is going to take off, because I think you're not only going to reach the people that's been waiting to see it, you're going to reach a bunch of new people that are, touching it and seeing it for the first time. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a big company.
Yeah, I would say that retail space is definitely a huge bonus for you guys. And I was going to mimic what you said to the listeners, like go to your, your retail stores and talk to them like, hey, what can we do? How can we get SKRE gear here? I know a lot of guys that are in this area that wear it now, or they want to, get into it. Go talk to them. I know a lot of people in Pennsylvania that wear SKRE gear now.
Oh, yeah.
And you're starting to see it around too. Like I watch a lot of YouTube hunting and stuff like that. And I'm starting to see people, one of the biggest one, deer drone recovery. That guy's wearing a SKRE ptarmigan jacket in all of his videos pretty much last year. Like that, I 100%, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a SKRE ptarmigan jacket. And he's wearing it in all of his videos. So it's like, you are starting to see it out there, and it's nice to have the recognition. But now if we could pair that with the in-person touch and feel, I think it's going to go through the roof.
Yeah, that's the move.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you that Pennsylvania is our number one selling state.
There you go.
Not just retail. Like, historically, we have sold more gear in the state of Pennsylvania than any other state. That includes our home state and the state of Texas, which is, Texas is when it comes to the consumer marketplace, Texas is kind of like the Alabama college football team. They're just bigger than everybody else.
Yeah, right.
So they're just a monster in the room. And it's because there's so many people. The state is so big that they end up at the top of every list because they literally have, that many more possible consumers than any other state. So it skews the number, but even with the state the size of Texas, with as many hunters as in the state of Texas, Pennsylvania has been our number one selling state historically.
Well, that's good to hear, man, because I can attest for it. Your gear works phenomenally in Pennsylvania.
It's perfect for
we
up
got
here.
A pile of hunters here, man.
Yeah, I know when you first came out with the Solace, I'm like, dude, that is going to absolutely kill up here. Like that is the perfect color combo for any of our most like mid to late season stuff. Like that's what you need to be running. And then you have the Summit for turkey. It's perfect. It's a good combination. Now we'll probably go to second place once you guys drop that Rancher shirt in Texas, because I bet you they move they move about 6 million in product.
I know you and I have that unique experience of working together at a Texas show where we talked about these shirts and we counted how many people were wearing those style shirts, and and you're right. But I'm telling you, brother, like I'm in Louisiana, I'm just right next door to Texas, and it's the same way all across the South. Yeah. I don't know about other parts of the, like I was at, I worked the World Deer Expo in Birmingham a couple weekends ago, and I'm telling you, like 1 out of every 3 dudes that walked by was wearing a performance button-up.
Yeah.
Short or long, either short sleeve or long sleeve rolled up with the little snap on the elbow. Like it's like, of all different kinds, camouflage, crazy looking designs, plaid, solids. Like they're just really, I don't, but they are very popular.
Yeah.
And so I think we did a good job on this shirt. So I think for you guys that do like to wear a performance button up, I think you'll like it. I think it's the material we used is good and the cut is really good.
From that experience, it'll forever be the Texas shirt to me.
The Texas shirt.
The Texas shirt.
I mean, he's not kidding, dude. Everyone that came into that booth, they were wearing one and they were looking for one.
Oh, yeah.
And, the Sunday, it was like that they just wore that shirt to church. And then they rolled up the sleeves and rolled in because it was like 1,000 degrees during that show. And they came into our booth looking for one. It was like,
absolutely.
Sorry,
it's been going on since like I think the first expo show event that I ever worked for SKRE was in the summer of 2017, and it's been one of the consistent trends in terms of like requested gear types, going all the way back to my original days working with the company. Like people just love those shirts. And like that, like look at it now. Like nowadays, like there are brands out there and that's all they sell. Nothing but like they've got 50 different styles of performance button-ups, short sleeve, long sleeve.
Yeah.
So they're obviously very popular. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's what my boss wears every day at work, so I know what I'm getting him for Christmas.
There you go.
Yeah. You must like your boss.
Yeah, you must. I give my boss
Come on, man.
I give my boss free whitetail distraction t-shirts is what I give him.
Oh man.
True story.
Good stuff. Good
All
stuff.
right. Well, Locke, I think we pretty much did this some justice here today. We covered a lot, man, and I finally remembered the saying, Locke Wheeler, number 4 in your program, number 1 in your hearts. I've been saving that for the whole episode because I botched it in the beginning.
Well, I'm still coaching, as you know.
Yep.
And I'm still very involved in baseball, and it's my number one life passion. But I'm fortunate enough to get to do a lot of both, hunting and still get to coach and be around the game. And yeah, I did wear number 4, and for all those years, I don't know if I ever wore another number. I think I actually there was one year I played that I had one of our I don't know how this happened, but we had 3 or 4 different jerseys. And for some reason, when they made the jerseys, one of my jerseys was 11 and all the rest of them were 4.
Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all have this in Pennsylvania. I don't know how I even just got into this. You just walked me right into this, Chuck. So on that team, my nickname was the info guy. So, and I know y'all like, what the hell are you talking about?
Like the 411,
you used to
411.
Yeah, you if you dial 411, you get whatever, the info. And so I don't remember, one of my jerseys, all of my jerseys were 4, but this, I think what it was, we had one jersey that was remember the old vest jerseys?
Yeah.
So you have the vest jersey with the yeah.
Yep.
So my vest jersey, for some reason, and there was no number 11 on the team. Luckily, there was nobody wearing 11 on that team. But for some reason, when my uniforms came in, my vest jersey was 11. Everything else was 4. So I had 411. So they called me the info guy.
That is great.
And nobody knew what the hell that meant.
Right.
Nobody.
That is awesome.
But yeah, no, we could. If y'all want to have another podcast talking baseball stories, we could do that too, because I got a lot of them.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
11 was my number, so that's awesome. Only 2 years
So
I wasn't able to wear it, and that's because the senior, both times, high school senior wore 11 when I was a freshman. I wore 9, and then in college I played with the exact same kid, and he had 11 his senior year again, and I was 10 freshman year. But other
So
than
I
that, it
guess
was
I
always
didn't
11.
know it. I didn't know it, but I was getting a little bit of the Chuck excellence when I wore my 11.
That's right.
Yeah, bud.
Or
I'm
I
sh-
was getting Locke excellence when I was wearing it, is probably more like it.
Yeah, I don't know, because I only wore it however many times we wore that jersey that one season's the only time I ever wore 11. So I think I'll give you the credit. But I'm sure I hit 500 in it. Probably.
There you
Probably
go.
didn't make a single error either.
That a boy.
Most likely.
Probably threw everyone out by at least 10 steps.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Before we
But-
let you go too, Locke, how's your boy doing? Sport wise, outdoor wise, how's he doing?
So, yeah, for people who follow along, you've probably seen my son on a lot of SKRE media, because he's hunted with me a lot. Now he's 16, going into his junior year of high school, and he's doing well. And now my younger son, I have a younger son that's 14. He started hunting a lot last year, so you might get to meet him on some content at some point. I don't know. He's still not as serious about it as me and my older son.
Yeah.
But he hunted a pretty good bit last year for the first time. I don't know what got into him. We're a hunting family and grew up in the South, and the hunting lifestyle. And when he was little, we would take him hunting, and it just never stuck. He just didn't care that much. He loved to fish, and he loved to go out and work on the property and ride 4-wheelers and run cameras and do all that. But he just didn't want to sit still and hunt, and he got to be he had to get to 14 years old to get the itch. So yeah, both of my boys are still hunting a lot, and and so yeah, they're both playing baseball, and keeps us very busy. I'm actually recording this. We're actually up in Oxford, Mississippi at the Ole Miss summer baseball camp. And I got a couple of my high school players and my son are here taking part in the summer camp. So yeah, that's the life we're living, man. I appreciate you asking. He's doing pretty good. Had a little setback, broke his hand, went to spring football practice one day and broke his hand, had to have surgery, and that sidelined him for 8 weeks, but he's back to swinging it. And so, yeah, man, we're balancing, trying to go as far as we can with baseball and shoot as many deer as we can with a bow. That's pretty much how we live life.
Beautiful.
Love to hear it, man. That's good. Good to hear Flip's doing well, and your younger son's getting into it. That's great, dude. And you know what?
It's exciting, man.
Tell him football is a fall sport. I hate these football coaches. They want to move everything up to spring and take up your time. There's QB camps and crap going on. It's like, listen, we don't mess with you that much in the fall. Like, you let the boys play in their seasons, all right? Give baseball.
Well,
its due.
I think our football experiment is over.
Good.
Good.
Because he was like, he was only going to do it because like he was like, I'm going into my junior year. It would be good for me to get, I mean, 'cause, like, look, I'll be honest, I'll tell everybody, like, the two things that as a young man in our society, the two things that you can do to create fitness and discipline more than anything is either the military or football. One of the two, because they're both hard, physically and mentally hard. And I think they're good. And he was like, I mean, he's kind of getting to that age where he's investing more in himself, not just playing for fun, but like looking at like how good can I be? Like how hard can I push myself? How much can I develop and grow as an athlete? And it's like, there's no better motivation than to join the football. Like the football is going to push me to get in the best shape I've ever been in. And I agreed with that. And but I didn't know that 10 minutes into the first practice, we were going to break our third metacarpal and have 4 screws put in the top of our hand.
Yeah.
So
No
but I
bueno.
think that scared him away from football because I think he got a real quick glimpse of what it would have been like. If that would have been a little bit worse, he might have lost his junior year of baseball,
Right.
And he's like, okay, yeah, no, I'm done.
Or couldn't draw a bow
that.
back. Yeah. See, that's the stuff you got to think about.
When you can't draw your bow and you can't swing your baseball bat, it's like, okay, well, never mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's a little family update of what's going on at the Wheeler household. But we're past it all. We're back to we've been released and we're back at it. So
Attaboy.
we are like I said, we're at this camp and summer's about. I know y'all are on a totally different schedule. That's in the South. I mean, we start school in 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks from Friday.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah. August the 8th is our
Dang.
first day of school. So like once school starts, you start having high school football games on Friday nights and the fall activities start to roll around. Before you know it, you're hanging tree stands and you're watching the weather and you're checking the wind forecast and you're checking your trail cameras and all of that stuff is right around the corner, so I'm just, like I told you at the kind of beginning of the podcast, I think, or maybe it was before we started recording, like I can feel it. It's like right back. It's right there, just out of reach. And then I walk outside, and I'm like I walked into an oven, and I'm like, Jesus, it's hot outside. But but it's right there, man. It's right there.
Yeah.
It's just around the corner. So we're excited.
Oh,
awesome.
man. Awesome. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on and letting us know and letting everybody else know what's going on with SKRE here. This has been a really awesome episode.
Yeah.
We just appreciate your time,
Yeah,
brother.
man. Well, I appreciate you guys having me back on and letting me run my mouth and talk about what we got going on. And I appreciate you guys supporting the brand and speaking so positively and spreading the word. We appreciate that a lot.
You got it. You
Always.
got it.
Yep.
I think I'm going to call this episode Locke Wheeler, SKRE Dealer.
You
No,
would.
wait, okay, hold on. With a name like Locke, you can imagine that I have probably heard it all.
Yeah.
From the funny to the not so funny to the extremely inappropriate. You could there's a lot of play on words, but I think you just did one I've never heard before. I don't think I've ever heard that.
I like it.
Yeah, you just when I thought maybe I couldn't nobody could come up with anything else. I think you just did it.
There you
I got
go.
it, buddy.
Congratulations on you.
Yes.
You're a wordsmith.
It's a win.
Locked, stocked, ready to rock. Let's go, baby. I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah, I've heard that one. See, you're
Yeah.
not original.
I know.
Austin's original.
You ever go back and look at all of our names on our episodes? 99% of them is him. The album art, it just goes right with it. So
Does
That's funny.
he name all the deer? Does he name all the deer?
I
That's
named
him.
the hell out of deer now because it's
See,
like
I'm terrible at that. Like I have like a running joke, like my I have a group text on my phone. Just the name of the group text is assholes and Tonto. It's like my I guess like my closest, one of my group closest friends, and like the name is assholes is pretty self-explanatory. Tonto is because one of my buddies only hunts with like an old Indian style longbow,
okay.
and then so we tell him he thinks he's Tonto, the Indian. So, but we have that like that friend group, and And shit, I forgot what we were talking about. What were we
Naming
talking about?
deer.
I lost my
Naming
track.
deer.
Oh, name
Yeah.
a deer. It's a running joke amongst my group, like that group and other friends too, that I am the worst in the world at naming deer. To the point that I don't even really do it anymore
Yeah.
because I have one success story on deer naming. One. I think it was great. I named the deer Chuck Taylor. Y'all, can y'all guess where that comes from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on, tell me. You got to guess.
The
Where'd that
Chucks?
come from?
The shoes? Chuck
Chuck
Taylor's?
Taylor.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking it was a
They
white
were
patch.
all-stars.
Yeah.
Oh, they were all stars.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was an all-star. He was like
Yep.
an 8-year-old freaking mammoth 7-point.
Yeah.
And like anybody that's ever hunted with me, or if you probably even listened to podcasts that I'm on, like everybody knows, I will pick the crazy. I don't care what they score. Like the craziest, the weirdest. Like if because this is my thing. Like I go out and kill 145-inch 10-point. Typical. Like not that happens all the time or that it happens every year, but I hunt enough that I'll probably kill a handful of 140-something inch 10 points in my day. But that one crazy ass looking 7-point that I will never see another deer that looks like that. That's an all-star to me.
That's
That's
an
the one I
all-star.
want to hunt.
Yeah.
So like we had that one. That to me that was a good one. But other than that, I'm terrible at it. Like everybody's like, well, what do you
that's a
call
good
that
name.
deer? I'm like, I don't know, like the tall brow tine 8-point. Like, I don't know. What do you want to call him?
The big eight.
I'm just not. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
And so I figured with Austin's little wordsmithing there, I figured maybe he was the deer naming guy because, like I said, my buddies give me a hard time all the time because I just, I don't know, like that's the wide 8 and that's the short tine 9. I don't know. Like, call them whatever you want. I don't know.
Usually it's my brother and I. We share the same cameras and stuff. So between him and I, we'll usually come up with a name. Typically, he comes up with most of the names, and they're just far fetched, off the wall.
Jimmy.
Wow, yeah, like Jimmy, which was totally wrong.
Which
by
was
the way.
wrong.
It was a completely wrong name. He misquoted a movie and named this deer Jimmy because he likes apples, and it wasn't Jimmy.
Yeah, but those are the best names sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of laugh about them every time you think about it. It's like, that's
Yeah.
so wrong that now it completely fits.
It's great.
Yeah.
But I got 2 deer. I got 2 deer for you, Locke, right now. I got a big 7-point, and we got another deer who's got 4 points on this side, and then his left side's just like a straight up brow tine that's probably 8-9 inches, and then just like a
that's my
single hook main beam. So it's just 2 points on that side. It's like straight up and straight out. He's a pretty cool deer. But
That's my
that
jam. I'm all
7-point,
about
man,
that.
he is body wise. That deer is huge. He is a mammoth of a deer.
Dude, I'm just all about a unique deer.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, like my take on it is, regardless, I mean, it doesn't matter what they score. If they're mature and they're big bodied and all that kind of stuff, I mean, the deer may not have any kind of score, but like he's the only deer like that you're probably ever going to kill because he's so unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, a big bruising 8-point or a big typical 10. I mean, I'm going to shoot them. That's what I'm out there hunting for, and I'm going to be excited about it.
Right.
It's not that, but it's like when I do have a property that I can run cameras on and stuff, I'm always looking for that just old gnarly ass deer that looks like he's unique. Like you're never going to see another one. Something he's got either, like you said, or one side's all jacked up, or just something that like just that unique character that makes him completely unique and unlikely to really ever see anything like that again. Like I'm always on the lookout for those kind of deer.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. I love that.
We had one named Teardrop a while back, and he was a giant 7-point frame deer. I mean, absolute monster 7-point. And he had a point that grew out of his head that came down like a drop tine in front of his eye, which gave him the name Teardrop, right? And he was like one of a kind. We followed him for a couple years, and my oldest brother ended up shooting and killing him, but he had broken that drop tine, that teardrop off.
Sucks.
Yeah.
And this thing was like 6 inches long. Like, it was wicked. It had curves too. It was super cool. I'm like, dude, you can't kill that deer without the teardrop. Like, what are you doing?
So he was he shedding that teardrop and growing it back every year?
Yeah.
Obviously.
For
I
2
guess he
years in a
was.
row. Yeah. For 2 years in a row, he had the same teardrop that he had shed and grew back another one.
Was it growing off of the main beam, or it was a third beam growing off his head?
Technically, it didn't grow off the main pedicle. It actually grew just below it, off the
So
front,
it was like its
out
own
of his
pedicle.
out of his forehead. It was kind of like a growth off of it, but it wasn't connected to the same. So it was an independent point that came out of the fur just above his eye and then dropped down. and it was so
Yeah, that
cool.
is unique.
We saw him on camera a couple times. This deer was like a ghost. We was never on other than at middle of the night. We had no idea really kind of what he was doing. Well, then my brother got him on camera like the day before or something in the morning, and he just happened to go back there by happenstance and shot him in the first night, rattled him in or something, right to like 15 yards and shot him. And I went with him on the recovery. I'm like, dude, the teardrop's broken. I was like, I got pictures.
Did he know? Did he know it when he shot it?
He did not. I mean, he did not know it was that deer. He didn't really have all the history
Yeah.
with it. My younger brother and I did because we were, sharing the cameras and whatnot. But yeah, he didn't have the history or anything with it. We were both kind of like, man,
Real good deer though.
a beautiful deer,
Yeah.
giant deer. I still haven't put
Yeah.
a tape to it, but I'd love to. And we got a deer this year that is literally growing. This is 2 years in a row that we've seen him. His point comes straight down. His main beam. It's just like a giant club. And it's just like, it looked like last year, I thought it just got broken during the growth process. I'm like, it just broke. Whatever. It was hanging down.
Yeah.
And there he is again this year. Same thing. Like his point just grows and it
Messed
comes
up
straight.
pedicle
It
or
just comes
something.
Yeah.
straight down.
You know what's crazy? For those that have followed along, like, we did the Blueprint series on that property in Oklahoma
Mhm.
that we leased. And so we had that property for a year. And one thing that we realized, between trail cameras and then the deer that we killed on the property and all that year, for whatever reason in that area, the majority of the bucks that we saw, their brow tines grew straight back.
Ooh.
That's so weird.
And so like now, don't get me wrong, when we had some deer on camera, and I think a couple of the deer that we shot, it was a big property, we killed quite a few deer off of it. It's like 1,200 acres. But I think a few of the deer had normal looking brow tines, and we had pictures of some big deer with big normal brow tines. But a lot of deer, like most deer that we saw there, it looked like somebody like took their hand or something on the top of their head and just pushed their brow tines back, and they pointed straight back.
Like a goat.
Now they would be
Yeah.
what'd you say?
like a goat.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of like that. And they would be kind of like normal length,
Yeah.
like that. They would just grow angled backwards.
So weird.
And like over time, we started to realize, like the first time you see it, it's like, oh, look at that's crazy. And it's like, oh, there's another one that looks like that. And then, but after like a whole year of managing this property and hunting it and looking at cameras and killing deer and all, we're like, this is a gene.
Yeah. Just part of the genetics.
And it's like, it's crazy how many deer had that. And
Yep.
so there are a lot of times you'd be looking at a deer on camera or looking at a deer in the distance from the stand, and you'd think he didn't have brow tines.
Mm-hmm.
But we learned after a while to like look really close, because he, at like just at a straight head on angle, it looked like they didn't have any brow tines. But you get a side view, you see them sticking back.
They're just slick back.
Yeah. That's so cool.
It's like they rammed their head against the wall and bent their brow
Right.
tines back.
Right.
Crazy looking.
That's so wild.
That's wild. It is
Yeah.
cool though.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, it's cool when you manage properties like that for a long period of time. You start to see like those genetic traits in certain, like, our property for the longest time was like real wide, short tine was one of the genetics. And then you had the real tight, real tall racks, and you had a bunch of bucks like that. And then every once in a while you'd see the double main beam buck, because my brother shot a double main beam, like 12 point there. And then every once in a while one would show up with a double main beam. And it's like, it is kind of cool over extended period. We're talking like 20 years to see some of those genetics come in and out, and then some of the other ones that are always there. It's just like the 7-point genetic.
It is.
It's been around with us for now 4 years. Big, just goofy, giant fork 7 points. It's so weird, but
Yeah,
it's fun.
It is interesting.
It's
That's
fun.
not like it gets to the point where that's like I'm at that point in my life where like sometimes I think the surveying and the managing of property and stuff is, I have just as much fun with that as I do the hunting.
Yeah.
For sure. For
Just
sure.
kind of like finding out all these weird genetic anomalies and just crazy things that, like you said, when you spend enough time doing that kind of stuff and on a piece of property, you start to learn things about behavior and genetics and stuff that you just wouldn't get from just, going and hunting every now and then or just spending time in a tree. And so like, I mean, I would say that I'm very close to that at this point of like, I almost enjoy, like I'm going on vacation next week. And then when I get back from that vacation, it'll be kind of, school will be getting started and the seasons will start to turn for me. The weather won't, unfortunately, but the seasons will start to turn for me. And so like, I'm actually already looking forward. Like when I get back from vacation, it's time to get on the tractor.
It's go time. Yeah.
Like, it's, the fawns have been down long enough. There's no danger there. It's time to start prepping, start running cameras, start running, tractors and planning, and I find myself spending so much more time these days, partially because I have sons, like we mentioned, that hunt, and I'm doing a lot for them, but partially just I'll wake up on a Saturday morning sometimes, and it's like I'd rather just watch College Game Day and look at my trail cameras than to actually get up before daylight and go sit in a tree stand. I kind of already done all my work. Like I ran all my cameras and my food. Like I'll just watch my cameras and maybe make afternoon hunt. Find myself being a lot more lazy, like at home like that. But it's not because I'm not active. Like it's because I'm, like I spend a lot of time in the field and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. Gotten to where that part of the preparation, the strategy, and the planning and the management almost, it's getting really close to like kind of taking precedence over the time in the tree for me. So.
I think it's full circle to where we started with this whole thing and why we do this, right? Why we appreciate the time in the woods and everything else. It's full circle 100%. So.
Oh, you're right. But I can tell you, my experience and my opinion is I don't care if it's the biggest buck that you have on camera that year, or if it's just a really nice deer or anywhere in between, even if it's just like a 3-year-old that's like kind of we're going to go ahead and shoot him. He's not ever going to, however you take that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to get into that, but when you kill a deer that you've been working to kill since the summertime and that you killed him because of all the work you put in, it's different.
Oh yeah.
Like that 130-inch 4-year-old is a whole different level of excitement when you put in all of that front end work and you finally make it come together.
Yeah.
Not to say that going and, if I come to your place and you like, hey man, come up and go hunt with me, and I show up and on the second day I kill a 130-inch 4-year-old, I'm going to be excited.
Mm-hmm.
But it ain't the same as if I know that I didn't just get lucky. I've been trying to figure this dude out since I first saw him in Velvet on my first camera run in first week of August. I followed how he transitioned from early season bachelor group to splitting off, where he started, cruising for does or whatever the case may be. And you put that whole puzzle together, like it, to me, like that's where I'm at as a hunter these days. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm like everybody else. When I comp in the tree, I'm hoping the biggest deer around shows up. I mean, obviously we all are. It's on some level you all are, but the reality is, I mean, you kind of know nowadays with all the technology and everything that we have, not to say that there aren't really big deer that show up, because they do everywhere. They do, but you kind of have a good idea. And so, for me, like where I hunt in the South, I'm not in a big deer genetic area. Like there's a couple of big deer killed around me every year, but to have the expectation of killing 150 plus class deer, even if you do manage them and let them get old, it's just not where I live. I live on the Gulf Coast kind of strain of whitetail, and 140-inch deer is a really big deer where I live. Regardless of your nutrition, your genetics, your management, anything. Now, like I said, we do kill them bigger than that from time to time. But when I say from time to time, I'm like 1 or 2 in a large area.
Mm-hmm.
So, when that's your home area, when you're somebody like me that is blessed, I'm nothing more than lucky and blessed to get to hunt a lot and work in the industry and go hunt all over the country. And I get to go places where a 200-inch deer could walk out. It could happen, right? Like I get to hunt those places. When I'm at home, I'm not hunting one of those places.
Right.
So you have to throw that out the window. And what takes the place of it? What takes the place of it is the management and the strategy.
Yeah.
Like,
Solid
like
point.
I'd
Solid
rather,
point.
And like there are times where I'm hunting at home where there are ways that I might feel like I could take my gun and I could go sit in an observation kind of spot during certain times of the year and have a much greater chance of actually killing that deer. But that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I want to figure him out and I want to shoot him at 20 yards with a bow. That's what I want to do. Like I really don't care to shoot him with my rifle.
Right.
Because again, I'm not hunting a world-class whitetail. I'm hunting a mature buck that I've been feeding and managing and strategizing against since the 100-degree days of July and August. And to finally fool him and get him, 20, 25 yards away and be able to shoot him with a bow, that is the trophy, not his antler inches.
100%.
The fact that he's mature and he's smart and he's not easy, and that I've just put all the puzzle pieces together, man, it it makes up for all the difference in, what genetics can do in this part of the country versus that part of the country. For me, it does.
No, I shot a 115-inch named buck. That's what I love to call them, named bucks, right? Like your target guys. Last year, at 6 yards. 115-inch 8-point, beautiful deer that was just an absolute bully, and he was on our list from summer all the way through. He might have been number 3 or 4 on the list, but he was on the list. I'm not the kind of guy that's like you mentioned early on. Who am I? I'm not someone that's going to pass up a deer like that of that quality in the limited time that I get to hunt. Like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm never going to do it. Yeah. So that guy with a name, he got shot. And the year before I did the same thing on a different buck that we named. And it was so cool to be able to go, oh my God, that's, lame name here, Crooked Tine. Like, I wrote that little article for you guys on that deer and that hunt. That was a deer that we had followed throughout the entire summer. And then for it to finally come together, him and our number 2 came together down that lane and gave me a perfect 15-yard shot. Like, that shit you'd never forget. Yeah. Those kind of hunts. So
no, it is, and I'm telling you, because I've done it both ways. Like I said, I've been lucky and blessed enough to, I've showed up somewhere, have no idea where I'm at, and within 48 hours, I've killed a really nice buck. But I don't know anything about that deer. Don't know anything about the area I was hunting other than a very little bit of information before I went in there and set up. And it's still special. It's still awesome. But, when I access a place at the right time on the right pattern, because I set up that X, I did it for this reason months ago. And now it's right. And then it all comes together. That son of a bitch might as well be 180 inches. Because it's just that awesome. Like, it's just that awesome. That's that. And so I guess, like, to kind of put a bow on that what we're talking about there, like, that's where we're at right now. For SKRE, we're busy getting gear out there for this time of the year where people are loading up and getting ready for the season. And we're busy, but like in the back of my mind, I can see around the corner, it's like, it's almost here, so we'll start getting into that mode here real soon. So I'm excited. Ready.
There you go.
Beautiful thing, dude.
What do we call that when that happens? When hunting's in the back of your mind, Austin?
Oh, distracted.
That's right. The distraction, baby.
Oh yeah, that's your podcast.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
Right.
There you go. Look at you guys. Wordsmiths.
Well, thank you, Locke. I appreciate it, man. I know it's late, and we've been at this for a while, but it's always a good time talking.
Thank you guys again. Yeah, I enjoy it anytime, man. We appreciate it.
All right, brother.